Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the iRacing Today radio show for April the 17th, if I'm not correct. If I'm not incorrect, I guess. Welcome into the show, everyone. I am your host, Mr. Trevor Cameron. I'm happy you could join us this evening, either live on YouTube or listening in your earbuds on your way into work and using it a way to pass by the time, if you will. We have I have some sad news for you guys today. We're going a little bit retro, I guess, in the show. In that, unfortunately, Mr. Chad Dalton cannot join us this evening, so it is just going to be me. It'll probably be a bit of a shorter show for you guys tonight because I have nobody to banter with. And well, let's be honest, last week we did an hour and 52 minutes, I believe it was. So nobody needs to have that all over again. But once again, welcome everybody in. Welcome. We've got some little bit of news for you guys. We're getting ready for the build, of course. So we don't have, a couple little bit of rumors and stuff going on around that. Of course, we've got my race from last week. I can't speak to Chad because, well, Chad's not here. So it'd be awfully hard to speak about him or to him. But we can speak about him, I guess. It's probably rude to do, I guess, but we could do that if you want. And we've also got our track of the week, which is Phillip Island, over somewheres in Australia, I believe that's where they keep that nowadays. And talking about the Kia Optima as well. But first off, I just want to just kind of give you guys an update. I want to say thanks to everybody who has come out and giving me some ideas and giving me some feedback, and both of us on the show here. Looks like you guys kind of like this new format and the way we're doing things, as been pointed out, and you'll probably get a little bit more of this because I don't have to have that soul-searching, looking into the camera going on that I had before, where while Chad was speaking, I'm going to be speaking most of the night, or you guys are going to be awfully bored. And as I believe it was Andy Small pointed out on the forums very astutely, I have no idea what to do with my hands. Now, as I explained to Andy in the forums there, that this is actually how I talk. And it's funny that, that has been brought up as something with the fact that I've been doing this the entire time. Like, you guys have been listening to me for quite some time, and I'm literally doing this the entire time. And now you guys get to see me on camera, whether that's a good thing or not, I'm not sure. Of course, I've gotten, like I said, some great feedback on people enjoying this new format, a different way to enjoy the show. Like I said, it's not really taking anything away from the way we're doing the show before, just an extra avenue. Also want to say thanks to everybody who has given me comments on streaming. I streamed out my race last week on Friday, which I'll talk a bit about that when I get to my experiences, and looks like some people actually, tuned into that and watched the replays of that, so that's pretty cool. Also, I think the prevalent thing, or the most, the thing that's come across the most in all this is people, I don't know if the word is enjoy, but people have definitely created a conversation around my beard, so that's always exciting. I even had hashtags going around today of fear the beard, which I countered with respect the beard. I think I even threw in admire the beard. Of course, that's a play on Daniel Bryan, who's a WWE wrestler, who's when I do watch wrestling, he's one of my favorite guys, and he has a monster beard. But you know what? I think my beard's pretty cool too. So, I mean, you know what? I'm going to call you out, Daniel Bryan. You know what? You want to have a battle of the beards? We can do this. I mean, I'm ready. I mean, you'd kick my butt in, actual fighting or wrestling or anything. But beard-wise, I don't know. I mean, yours looks pretty scruffy. I mean, at least this has kind of got a neatness to it that perhaps you don't have. So, you know what? Let's do this. But before we do that, before I challenge WWE wrestlers that I don't even know to battling with beards, because I don't even know what that entails. I don't know if our beards fight. Not sure. But let's get into some iRacing stuff before we get into that. So, excuse me. See, this is about the time when I'd be using Chad to, to talk. But, here I am. I have to say all the words. And you know what? That's, that can be tough. Because I have to fill in all the gap, and I always feel afraid that it's, I'm not allowed to have any dead space. And I don't know why that is. I mean, why it is the fact that, I don't feel I should, because you guys are listening to an audio program, and if you guys aren't hearing audio, well, then what's the point of the program? But anyway, we will move into the, excuse me, the next segment, which is, of course, as always, is the news segment brought to you by iRacerstuff.com. We've got a few things to talk about here. We've got the some sad news, I guess, from a perspective of, most of the community as it is, but kind of a little bit personal for Chad and myself as well, and that's the fact that Sean Siff has officially left iRacing, and that is definitely some sad news. He's no longer a staff member over there. No, there wasn't any big conspiracy or anything. He's moving on to do some different things, apparently, so we want to wish him, on behalf of myself and Chad and the iRacing Today radio show, and also the iRacing Today podcast back in the day. I just want to wish Sean all the best in his future endeavors, and hope that wherever he's going is something that, kind of follow his dreams or do something a little bit more exciting, or, enhance his career. I mean, listeners of the show know that Sean was gracious enough to come on the show twice, once when it was back in the podcast days, and once with Chad and myself who were here on the radio show. So great guy to talk to. I mean, we talked to him not just during those interviews, but I mean, through email and then before and after the show a bit and stuff like that. Great guy, great representative of iRacing. So sad to see him go. The marketing department over there is going to have a bit of a hole to fill, I think, with Sean missing, but wish him all the best. And thanks for coming on the show all those, those couple of times. And now we're gonna have to get a new in to iRacing, a new way to get into some of the people there and get some information for you guys. Okay, now moving into the build that's coming up. We're only a week and a half away from it, I think. Actually, not even that, because they're apparently targeting the build for Tuesday, April the 22nd, which is less than a week away. Week and a half. What am I thinking? Less than a week away, and I should know this because iRacing, I'm pretty sure they schedule this just for this fact, and that is that they like to schedule builds when I'm away from my racing wheel, and that is once again the case. So it's going to be hitting while I have no chance or way to try it out. So that's exciting, but of course we'll have the release notes and stuff that we can talk about next week. So, but anyway, there have been a couple little things that have been mentioned that may be coming, some rumors, a couple things. We don't have any build notes yet. We don't even have the preliminary. Here's what we might think's in the build. So, apparently, there has been rumors, and I don't even know where these came from, but there's been rumors that driver swaps might be coming in the Season 3 build. Ha! Fooled you there. So not this build, but the next build after that is when we might be seeing driver swaps. I know that's something that people are pretty excited about. We talked about it on the show a couple times. It opens itself up to some interesting scenarios. Endurance racing, or having something. Well, I mean, heck, if you even wanted to put in a scenario, if you want to take it this far, if you're racing for a championship and somebody starts the car, in a league, maybe somebody starts the car and they're not feeling very well and they make a pit stop and somebody gets into the car instead, just like they do in real life. I mean, you could run that scenario, but I think mostly it's just for the endurance racing type thing where you could have a 6-hour race, a 12-hour race, 24-hour race. I don't know, do an actual Rolex 24 and have people jumping in and out of the car over the period of the night. I mean, that would take a lot of dedication. and you'd have to have a lot of trust on your team. Because imagine, you wake up, your alarm goes off at 3 a.m. You get up and you get all ready to go, and then you go over to your computer and find out that somebody crashed out your car like 2 hours ago. You know, maybe if they do that, I wonder. It would be an interesting scenario. Let's say if for endurance racing, they change the damage model. Where they always, if you do enough damage to your car, they always say that's it, we're done. But in a 24-hour race, I mean, you have a lot more time. So it's like required repair 2 hours, and then the next person comes in and finds out that they've been working on the car the entire time that he was sleeping, and then he jumps in the car there. I don't know. That would be an interesting possibility, I think. Excuse me for the audio listener. I'm just taking a quick drink of tea there. And I'm going to apologize. I mean, right now I'm trying to do this in two different formats. Now it's just me talking. So if you thought I was distracted last week, well, you've got some extra excitement going on here. So got the 3M in the back, hat in the back. Maybe next week, I'll have a Chad doll for me. Well, since I'm not going to be at home, I'm going to be in a hotel. I'm not entirely sure what the TSA will think about me having a Chad doll in my suitcase. I don't even have a Chad doll. I'll have to make one. Yeah, I'll have one of those little notifications that they put in the suitcase there. TSA has checked your bag and blah, 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 blah. I don't know if they check everybody's. I don't know. But I always have one in there. So I don't know if it's because I have my microphone in there, or I have steel-toed boots, or my hard hat, or whatever it is that I bring. But I always have one of those slips in my suitcase when I pick it up after either A, at the hotel, or B, back at home. So they definitely they scrutinize my bag a lot. I'm not sure why that is. It's one of those things where I always know that I'm going to find that piece of paper in there, because I zip my suitcase up one way with the zippers ending up one place, and they end up doing it a different way. So it's like, all right, somebody's been in my bag. I mean, remember the days back back when we used to travel in air travel, and you used to actually put a lock on your suitcase so that people couldn't mess with your stuff? Huh. Those are the days. But anyway, driver swaps might be coming in season 3, apparently. So says the rumor. Also, they've apparently gone and scanned Imola, which it sounds like an explosive fiery track. And I'm sure I probably mispronounced the name of it, but apparently that has been scanned, so that is in the work. I know that's one that they've mentioned is it's been in the hey, we should do that list for a bit of time now. So it looks like that's going to be coming hopefully. Well, not in the near future. We all know it takes a while from scan to production to actual release, but hey, at least it's in the pipeline, so it's better than something that hasn't been scanned yet. Of course, we will be getting the Lucas Oil Raceway in the next build here, and that is, otherwise known as IRP or AARP, as I was calling it last week on purpose. I knew that wasn't the name. It was a Jeff Gordon reference, because that's the Drive to End. Anyway, so that is coming here in the next build, but they're also mentioning that it will come with a nighttime version of the track, which is new news. So we'll have both a daytime and a nighttime version of that track. And I've spoken about my love of nighttime racing many times on the show. To anybody who listens to me talk about racing endlessly, it's just something more exciting. More just the way that the lighting and the shadows and the sparks. When you're watching it on real on real TV, as opposed to when you're watching it on fake TV. I don't suggest watching your races on fake TV. It's just a bunch of people with little pieces of paper banging them again. Anyway, fake TV's bad. But anyway, so nighttime racing has always been one of my more. I've always enjoyed watching racing at nighttime more than during the daytime, just because of all those reasons, and short track racing especially. So that's pretty cool. We're going to be getting a nighttime version of that as well. So that's pretty exciting. Continuing on with the build news, Steve Myers, which for some reason I always confused with Sean Siff. I don't know why. I've talked to Sean. I haven't talked to Steve. Every time I see Steve Myers, I think Sean. I don't know why. Steve Myers is still there. So he apparently was asked a question this past week there about, let's see. The actual question was, any insight for anything on the oval side? And Steve apparently replied to that, and I quote, "You get some love in the upcoming build." So apparently we don't have any news, any hard facts yet on the upcoming build, but supposedly we're going to be getting something on the oval side, which is pretty cool. Which, I think we do get a lot of love. I mean, I don't know why, if that question was coming from a point of, is everybody ignoring the oval side or not? I mean, obviously we've been getting, a bunch of road stuff, and they've been working on some road cars. So, I mean, we have had a lot of content releasing on the road side of things, but I feel there's always something on the oval side for us guys who just like to drive, in circles and turn left. But apparently, hopefully, fingers crossed, there's something exciting coming. I mean, with the statement like you're going to get some love in the upcoming build, that to me says that there's something that we're not expecting that's coming in. I mean, we got the lucky dog, and that's been a long time coming, and that's pretty exciting to have in there. So, not sure what else is going to be coming in. I know it'd be cool. And if you watch the stream I did on the race on last Friday, I actually spoke at length on this one, and it'd be cool if they figured out how to line cars up during a caution on oval, because they still got some work to do there. Because man, there's so many times when you end up in the wrong spot, or you end up getting black flags because you think you were supposed to not let that guy by, but anyway, I'd love to see them fix that. I mean, we got the lucky dog now. That's great. Let's make it so that, say, 15 cars crash into a big pileup and then they get going again, that the spotter doesn't tell you to let them all back by again, because I'm pretty sure that's not the way it works in real life. Anyway, minor rant there. So apparently we're going to be getting something on the oval side, so hopefully it'll be cool and exciting. As I mentioned, they are targeting on next Tuesday, April the 22nd, which means we'll probably see the build on Thursday the 24th is my guess, because they're usually a little late on this. At the 11th hour, they usually find something. It's like, oh crap, we can't release that yet, and it's usually a little bit later as everybody's sitting there. I usually watch the forums from work during the designated break periods, of course, during build day, and just watching everybody lose their mind because it's not out yet. It's like, oh, well, the build's not out. Oh, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. With iRacing, if nothing else, has very passionate community. I'll give them that. They're not always the most polite. They're not always the friendliest. Again, speaking about the exceptions, but they are definitely passionate about what they want, and they like to tell you about it. So, and that's fine. I mean, you need a passionate group of people around a piece of software like this, or else it just dies, because people don't care about a simulation. If people don't care about, especially a simulation that there is no AI players, where you have to be racing against each other, then it's going to die off. And that's kind of what makes iRacing great, the good, bad, and the ugly, so to speak. So anyway, 22nd of April is when they're targeting the build. Many updates and fixes are expected, as per normal with the new build, obviously. Plus some new content that we talked about last week, and I just mentioned the IRP as well. And as I know Chad would love to point out at length, maybe, just maybe, the Toyota on the Sprint Cup car side, or the big A-class car. I always feel funny calling it the Sprint Cup car, because there's a Sprint car, which is a completely different beast altogether, and Sprint is just a name. It's not really what it is. That's just the sponsor of the main championship series. But anyway, so they've been kind of hinting that maybe it might, and they're hoping, and the thought is they're going to bring out the Toyota this time. It's done, it's ready. They're just going through all the legal department stuff in order to actually make it so that they're allowed to release it. So hopefully, for Chad's sake, personally myself, I don't really, to say I don't care seems a bit cold and callous, but it is not a concern for me. Let's just say that, because you know what, I own every car in iRacing. And that's fine. I did that by choice. I don't know if there's a compelling reason for me to own the Toyota. Now that they've changed the way that multi-class racing works, for those who don't know or are new to the sim, it used to be that in order to do multi-class racing, be it on the roadside where it was different classes of car, actually physically different cars, or on the oval side where we have, the Chevy and the Ford, and hopefully soon the Toyota. It used to be that you had to own every piece of content in order to actually join those servers. That's no longer the case. They've actually changed it, and this is a while ago now. So I'm speaking to people who were new to the service and weren't there when that happened. But it used to be that you had to own all the content. So that's not the case. I'm not going to jump into a Toyota, so there's actually no compelling reason for me to actually purchase that car. I just thought about that. I own the Chevy because, actually I'm not entirely sure why I own the Chevy, but I own the Ford, and that's the only thing I'm going to drive anyway, just because, well, I'm a Greg Biffle fan, Roush Fenway fan, so they drive Fords, so do I. Plus, I really like the look of the Ford. But anyway, so we're going to be getting some good stuff. We'll be talking about that all next week, because I'm sure we'll have, I'll have the release notes to go through. We'll talk about them. I won't have much of the ways of impressions, because it's releasing while I'm on the road, unfortunately, but at least we'll be able to give you guys a bit of a rundown on what's new in the sim, and excuse me, what's new in the sim, and then the week after that we'll be able to give you some impressions as to what we think about what's going on. Side note again, I am hopefully on this trip going to have a chance to go to the race at Richmond, so I don't know. If anybody's, a fan, a listener to the show who is going to be around there, I don't know, contact me on email and Twitter. Maybe I can, meet some listeners of the show. That'd be pretty cool. I know that the Integrity Racing League, that I race in on Friday nights, they're doing a meet-up there. So now that I know I'm going to be in the area, I might have a chance to meet some of those guys. Maybe. We'll see. Although right now it's tentative. I mean, I don't even have my tickets bought yet because I don't know if I'm going to be there for the race. It just kind of looks like it might line up. So, but hopefully I'll be able to talk about that in the coming weeks here if I actually do manage to get to the show. So, moving right along as we're wont to do along this show. Like I said, it's probably going to be a shorter show for you guys. I hope that doesn't disappoint you too much. But I mean, to be honest, I'm only one man. You know what? And without somebody to banter off of, this is a lot harder than you might think it is. Plus, I discovered that my mouse is actually dying. I wasn't sure if it was. That's why I was a little bit late tonight getting started. If you're watching this live, is my mouse was giving me some problems the other night in Battlefield, and I thought maybe it's a glitch in the software, although I haven't changed anything. It would just every now and again stop responding, and I couldn't recreate it. And I was like, okay, well maybe there's just a bug in there. But I started researching new mice anyway. Just in case I had to buy one. And I've had this one for a little bit now, and my daughter uses it, and she's not exactly the most gentle person on electronics and various things. We're trying to teach her to be a little bit more caring of other people's possessions. It's a work in progress, let's just say. But anyway, it looks like the cable is actually getting a bit frayed there, and so I'm going to be hopefully going out and buying myself a new mouse later on, a new gaming mouse, because that's what I do. I game, obviously. So, yeah, doesn't really concern iRacing much. What I should do, maybe I should not buy a mouse and buy myself a new wheel. G27, perhaps. I'm not sure. But anyway, so moving right along into this slightly abbreviated show. And we will be talking about our track of the week next. And that track is, of course, the Phillip Island Circuit. And, this isn't one that I'm all that familiar with, and fortunately. I wonder if, I'm not sure if Chad has actually gone and raced on this one or not, but sadly Chad's not here, so he can't really speak on it. I got an interesting glitch there on the video, so that's you audio listeners probably won't aren't going to be too concerned with that. But Phillip Island is, of course, as I mentioned, is over in Victoria, Australia. It is a road course because it is road course week here on the iRacing Today radio show. Is a 2.762 mile or 4.445 kilometers in length. It has 12 turns. It only comes with one configuration. It's one of the rare road courses that's on the service that does not have alternate configurations that it can go through. It is, all reading here from what it says about it, and it's man, I mean, it looks like a beautiful area. Like it's. I've always wanted to visit Australia. It's one of those areas I've never actually had a chance to visit, and it's almost one of those places that's more akin to Canada. I mean, because you get Canada, the UK, and Australia are kind of sort of sister, cousin, brother things. The U.S. is kind of its own thing. And, love you guys, but I don't know. Australia and England and Canada are kind of amalgamous together. But anyway, I always wanted to visit Australia. I haven't had a chance to, unfortunately. I never got a chance over my Navy days to head over there, but hopefully one of these days I will be. This is apparently Australia's premier road course. Phillip Island is a 2.7, 4.4 kilometer thrill ride of a racetrack situated on an island. Go figure, Phillip Island Circuit. Yeah, see what you did there. Huh? Off the southern coast near Melbourne, the 12-turn circuit features a long main straightaway, hair-raising fast turns, tight hairpins, and dramatic elevation changes. See, again with the elevation changes, it's funny. It's one of those things where I hadn't really noticed how much of... I wasn't noticed how much, but it's every time I go to a different course and I take a look at it, and going through the show is as educational for me as it is for some of you guys out there, in the fact that I'm looking at a lot of these circuits that I haven't in the past, because obviously not a good road racer. I've raced on all the old courses that we have here, but not so much in the on the roadside on account of sucking. But it's one of those things that every time I see a track with elevation changes, it always amazes me because it always looks so cool, and I didn't realize how many of the racing circuits that we have here on iRacing have drastic elevation changes as part of them. So, and I don't know, that just, it excites me, whether it's, Bathurst or Spa, well, then again, there's Road Atlanta, which I've spoken at length about my dislike of, and actually had a conversation with some listeners of the show there last week or the week before about it and my dislike of it. I'm sorry, Road Atlanta. I don't like you. But one of the reasons why I don't like it is again, an elevation change. And it's the fact that it has that big elevation change and then that corkscrewy turn thing that always ends up in the grass. And I get frustrated, never can learn it, and then just stop playing it. So elevation changes are good or bad. And then, like I said, when we were talking about Bathurst there a couple of weeks ago, the elevation changes when I took a couple laps around there, that was bloody exciting because it was just like you're falling off the side of a cliff, it feels like. So, elevation changes can do a lot for the racing. And I know in watching races as well, it can be quite exciting. I mean, Road America, another one of my favorite courses, that has a very challenging change in elevation where you're heading down and then you have that sharp corner at the end and have a tendency to mess that up. And then you go up and, another elevation change and up. And there's a corner right after that I always mess up. So apparently I can only go down. So as long as the elevation changes are down, I'm cool with it. If it's an elevation change going up, then everything falls apart unless it's that other course that I like to hate as well, which I'm blanking on the name. It's that Laguna Seca, because that's a downward elevation change around that corkscrew. But it's at the top of a hill, so I guess that counts. But anyway, it includes a precipitous drop from Lukey Heights to a tight turn 10 set against the deep blue backdrop of the Bass Strait, separating the Australian mainland from Tasmania, where I hear they have devils. Phillip Island is among the world's most spectacular motorsports venues. And, excuse me. So it's, again, it's one of those road courses that, Chad happened to pick the course for the week and then couldn't make the show. I'm sure he picked it and said, wow, I got some stuff to talk about that. I unfortunately do not. Although it is one of those courses that, kind of has a feature to it that is, I've mentioned, is always kind of scared me or kept me away from some of the road courses and stuff like that. And that's those wide sweeping kind of turns with nothing to stop you. Maybe it's all my years of oval racing where I like to be, I like to be swaddled in a race car, apparently. I need to have walls on either side of me to make sure that I feel safe. See, because if I have walls, then I know that no matter how bad I mess up, I'm not going to fall off the edge of the world. Maybe part of my psyche thinks that the world is flat, and as soon as I fall off the edge of the race course, I'm just going to fall in the abyss. I'm going to fall to Valhalla, or I'm going to fall to wherever that place that Jack Sparrow went when he went to the end of the world. I don't know. But Phillip Island has some of those corners where if you mess up the corner, you're just kind of sailing off in the grass off in Never Land. Now, it's okay not to have walls right beside you, but it's one of those things where if there's walls, they're not close, so you can sail for a long way. And when I mess up, especially on road courses, I like to mess up big and just go completely blow a corner. I mean, if there's one thing that I like to do when it comes to having problems with my skill when it comes to race car driving, it's the fact that I love to go into corners too hot. Because I feel, and this is a complete aside, it's one of those things where I know I'm just trying to learn the course, be it oval, be it road course. And it's not that I'm trying to get the best speed out of it. I find that if I try to slow down for a corner, so I can just take it nice and easy and just learn and then build up the speed and see how hot I can go through that corner in order to actually make it. I struggle with, if I go too slow, then I mess it up really, really bad. Like I turn in too much. I bleed off too much speed and end up going through the corner too slow and completely messing up the entry that way. So I try to go faster and then I go way too fast. I don't know if that's a matter of I just don't have the throttle control to find that sweet spot between too fast, too slow, or if or there's just a disconnect in my brain. Maybe it's the pedal issue that we talked about, although there are plenty of people who use this sort of pedal setup that I have, the DFGT Pro, and are quite successful with it. So I think it's just all between, it's an interface problem, brain to pedals interface, which is me. I think I am basically the problem is what I'm saying here. So, but anyway, I know a lot of people have raved on Phillip Island. It's a course I don't think I've ever actually driven on, like I mentioned. It's like I said, it's one of the ones that always comes up in a lot of the discussions on some of the road courses, racers, forums and whatnot. So, anyway, that is Phillip Island. For better or worse, my mangling the information that I'm giving you guys on it, and man, see, this is one of those times when I'm all like, you know what, I miss Chad, because if Chad was here, he'd be able to come over and say, hey, you know what, here's what's cool about Phillip Island. Now, I could make that up completely. As a matter of fact, I am making that up completely because I don't know. One of these days, we're going to have to spend the time to actually just race every track. I mean, there are actually, they have an achievement system in iRacing, if you're not familiar with it. And I think I've mentioned this in the past, where they actually mentioned they keep track of, and there's an achievement for racing on all of the tracks. I should just kind of take a week off work and just do that one of these days. Probably not going to happen. But moving right along, one of those cars that you could race on Phillip Island, well, that would be the excuse me, that would be the Kia Optima, which is one of those ones when it hasn't been in the service that long, and when it came out, I will admit that I laughed at it. I thought it was funny because the Kia to me is not obviously a race, well, not obviously, sorry, is not a race car. A Kia is a vehicle that is a road car. Now, the same could be said for Ford, Chevy, Toyota, all that. Obviously they are as well, but Kia I've never heard associated with racing. Now that's probably just my ignorance. Although they do mention here in the write about it, they say when it comes to automobile manufacturers, none have enjoyed a more meteoric rise to prominence than Kia. So maybe they did just come out of nowhere, and I'm not insane, and I'm not just an ignorant fool when it comes to road courses or road cars. I'm sorry. The Kia Optima is, of course, available for purchase through the simulation. It's not one of the ones that's included. Neither was Phillip Island. I don't know how much Phillip Island is, but I know the Kia is $11.95, as all cars are. Although with some of the discount programs that they've implemented recently, it's a very good chance that you'll be getting it for less, based on all the rules they put in place to help make it easier to purchase content for iRacing. The weight of this bad boy is 3,000 pounds, which is heavier than me. Maybe not the best comparison, I'll admit. It is a 2.0 liter four-cylinder turbo. So it's not exactly a very fast car, I guess. I mean, maybe it's one. Again, I have not tried the Kia, mostly because I have other, I haven't found the sweet spot as far as what it comes to what I'm looking for in a road car in order to get out there and race. And I don't know. There's got to be there's got to be something that I'm looking for that'll make a road car something that speaks to Trevor. I mean, I really enjoyed the HPD. I don't know if it's, if I'm looking for open wheel, closed wheel, you'd think with my stock car background, and I use background as a very loose term, with my love of racing when it comes to stock cars. You think closed wheels would be more my style, but when I do watch road racing, it's usually IndyCar, F1. But those are cars that I've struggled with getting under control. I've had some luck with the Skippy. I've had some luck with the Star Mazda. I haven't had too much luck with the closed-wheeled type cars, be it the Ford that we spoke about a couple weeks ago, or actually might have been last week. I'm not sure. The Cadillac I've tried a few times, or some of those cars, and the Kia kind of falls into that. Yet I've had pretty good luck with the. Want to call it the Mazda Miata, but I know it's not. It's the MX-5, kind of the Miata wannabe. Actually, I'm not even sure if it's a follow-up to the Miata. It has a very similar style to it, and a big happy smiley face on it. But the transmission on the Kia Optima is a sequential 6-speed with gear change ignition cut, which is otherwise known as apparently a flat shift. I'm not entirely sure or familiar with that. It runs in some series here, obviously. Let me just take a quick look at that and let you know what type of series that car actually runs in. But again, I always feel bad about the fact that I haven't raced in that many series here, and that's kind of silly that I haven't, because there's a lot to offer in iRacing. I mean, we've spoken about it, and it's one of those things where there's so much on offer that you can't do it all, I guess, unless, of course, you are very, very rich and don't have to worry about going to work and stuff like that. And that'd be a very cool thing to do. But of course, anyway, the Kia Optima does race in the Global Challenge series along with the Cadillac, going through a myriad of road courses. They did go to Road America this season, which is always one of my favorites, as I've mentioned in the past. But anyway, Kia Optima, it's in the down in the D class series. It runs in a multi-class session with the Cadillacs, so you can definitely check that out if you so desire. Now, moving right along into the show, before I get into my iRacing experience of the week, which, it was an experience, I'll give you that. I just wanted to make a quick call out to one of the iRacing community members, and anybody who knows me, or at least knows kind of the way that I handle this. What I love most about iRacing, or one of the things I love most about it, is the community. I know I give crap every now and again about some of the people who aren't the best, but I mean, you know what? You're going to find that in any online community. I mean, heck, if you want, if you want to see just abject hatred and horrible things being said in an online community, go over to Battlefield, a game that I dearly, dearly love and have played many, 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 many hours and just love that game to death. Well, the series, I guess. And I'm currently playing Battlefield 4. But man, that is one unhappy community over there. And you think iRacing is bad? Just go over to their forums for a while and just browse around, and you will just see some of the stuff that really spells out what's wrong with the internet and the sake of anonymity, where people can just spout off with whatever they're going to say because they're behind a computer screen, and of course nobody can see them. Well, you can see me, but that was by choice. Anyway, I really love it when a lot of people in the iRacing community will do stuff for the community, give back to the community, or they're passionate about something that happens in the community, be it a particular product they bring, like we talked to Steve Luvender, with trading paints, or iRacerstuff.com. That's somebody else giving back to the community, or somebody who's passionate about series, a particular car or series that they run in. So I just want to give a special shout out to a post I found when I was browsing around over in the iRacing forums, and that was, excuse me, man, you think I'd have enough, I don't know if I'm coughing more because Chad's not here, but, Anyway, over there, John Hill had put a post up, and apparently people who contributed into this, and I'll tell you what it is in a second, were some people's names that I'm going to mess up horribly, and I apologize. Nuno Morier, and anybody who's on the video feed can see that I'm actually looking at these names and are probably screaming at the screen saying, that is not how you say that at all. Gurno Fritsch, and Cam Walsh. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got that one right. Anyway, what it was is they made up a promotional trailer for the Lotus 79, which is one of the cars we mentioned in the past. Is one of those ones that doesn't have a large community around it, but has a passionate community around it. And he made up a video, basically a promotional trailer for that series, and a particular, for races that they're putting on with authentic liveries of that would be time appropriate, and the video was just outstanding. Like, it was amazing to watch the passion that was obviously in there. I mean, and if you haven't seen the 79 in action, like, this really showcases some really great racing that happened in there. So I'm going to put a link in the show notes to both the video itself and the forum post that was sent over there. It was under the title, "We are very proud of this, help us spread the word." So John, I'm helping to spread the word because I thought it was amazing that what you guys put together, and I would love to see, like, just somebody from each series or each car. I mean, I guess each series would probably be the best way to do it, to make up something like this, just to kind of say, hey, you're looking at racing in this particular car. Well, here's a taste of what it's all about, and here's what we as a community do to make it more exciting. So I love it when people do stuff like this. So I saw it in the forums there yesterday, so I wanted to just kind of give a shout out and help these guys spread the word, and hopefully you guys might get excited and head over and try the Lotus 79. It's notoriously one of those cars that's challenging to race in, to master, and me as a road course or road racing, let's go with idiot. I'm sure I would probably really, really struggle with getting over there, but I don't know, looking at the video kind of had me tempted to, well, if I'm going to try something, maybe I'll try this. They seem friendly, so they probably won't get too mad when I suck really hard, but anyway. So, anyway, I'll put a link up there in the show notes so you guys can check that out, or if you don't head over there, just search in the web forums for that title I mentioned, which is, "We are very proud of this, help us spread the word." So you search that, you'll find that video, or probably Lotus 79 on YouTube. I'd imagine we'll probably find it pretty quick because there's probably not that many videos that include that information. So let's move on to the part where I talk about what I did in my racing. And, well, excuse me. First off, I wanted to mention that my streaming of my race went off as far as I can see without a hitch. I've had more people than I expected actually went over and watched it, which I found interesting and entertaining to me. Like I didn't realize that many people would actually go over and watch the race. I'm hoping that I provide at least some entertainment. Not to mention the fact that it's one of those things where what exactly it was, because I didn't know what it would be like to broadcast an entire race live. I mean, I'm not broadcasting it per se, like I'm racing and I'm just talking. And what it ended up being was about an hour and 15 minutes of watching me struggle horribly at Darlington while I just had a conversation with the camera. And you know what? And that felt good. Like I actually had a lot of fun doing it, even though I was sitting here basically talking to myself. None of my teammates could show up for the race, unfortunately, for various reasons. So it was just myself. So I just spent the entire time talking. I mean, I was giving you rookie tips. There was a point where I showed, where I talked about, a particular rookie tip on how to handle being a lapped car, because I certainly was at Darlington. That then, proved right, and then actually blew up my face where I did exactly what I said you should do, and it still ended up going into a huge failure. So that was fun. If you actually want to go watch it, then stop listening right now because I'm going to kind of tell you how it went. So if you want to be surprised, just kind of turn off for a couple of minutes and then come back. All right. Anyway, it was Darlington. I had some practice. I had enough practice to know that I was in control of my vehicle, and that was about all I had managed to actually get. When I say it's all I managed, that's all I did. I will admit personal fault on this one, the fact that I've been kind of, obsessed with Battlefield, so I've been doing a lot of that on top of the racing. But despite the fact that I struggle with Darlington, and I mentioned that several times last week on the show, I was comfortable. I got myself to a point where I was comfortable. I wasn't fast, and I didn't have a setup. I mean, I had got a setup that I grabbed off the forums, ran a few laps, said, yep, I can control this, and went. So I didn't end up qualifying for obvious reasons in this situation. So I started in the back, and that was great. We had early caution, so I managed to avoid that. Overall, the basics of the race were the fact that I managed to keep under control, except I was taking deposits out of the Darlington Stripe Bank at a higher than comfortable rate. In the fact that I got several 2Xs just by scraping the wall. I wasn't making contact with other cars. I don't think there is an area on there that you can go off track. But I just basically kept getting 2X after 2X after 2X, and they have a limit there. I think it was 15 or 16, I can't remember which. I think it was 15 on your incident limit, or else you'd be automatically disqualified, which is a feature they added in a couple builds ago, I believe it was, where you could put on that limit. So it was well documented that we had that limit on there, and so I knew it was there. And as the race went on, I was more concerned with keeping myself out of the wall. Anybody who's raced Darlington, I mean, Darlington basically comes across as a track where you're racing the track and not really the other drivers. Like it's more like a road course in that way, I guess, because the track is the challenge, and your means of success at Darlington is by racing the track the best you can and waiting for everybody else to mess it up, because they will. Like cars don't leave Darlington looking pretty usually even the winter. I mean, kind of like Bristol or Martinsville in that way. So I ended up racing the track and getting concerned. I ended up doing a pretty good job of staying out of the way of the leaders. I think I ended up 4 laps down at the end of it. But I did end up in 10th position. Now I think we only had 17 cars start, so a top 10 finish was my target. It wasn't a drastic leap, because Darlington has a habit of having a fair amount of attrition in it. But I spent most of the race worrying about whether or not it's going to get disqualified. And if you watch the stream, you'll hear me talk and talk and talk and talk about how I was so worried about getting disqualified because I didn't want that to happen. And in the end, we got to, I think it was 5 laps to go in the race, running 10th. Couldn't lose any more positions, so I already had won my top 10 position because everybody else was out of the race or too many laps behind me that they couldn't catch me. And the leaders came up on me again, and here's where I made a mistake. And I will put the onus on myself for this one. I've been racing, and I was getting better. As the race went on, despite the fact that I was beating the crap out of the right side of my car, I was getting better at holding the line through the corners. And I was getting braver, practicing, okay, well, what happens if I kind of, because when you get lapped 4 times, I only lined up 4 laps down, but I swear I was lapped more than that. When you have cars who are faster than you passing you constantly, it gives you a chance to kind of study out their lines. So I'm watching what they were doing and then trying to emulate it. And I got it right-ish a few times, not with as much speed as they were doing it, obviously, based on lack of skill and setup. But I was getting more and more comfortable with it. So I was kind of starting to time when I'd let the leaders past me. Now, what I mean by let them pass me, I mean I wasn't holding them up by any means, or I wasn't getting in the way. What I was doing at the beginning of the race, because hadn't reached that comfort level yet, is I would wait till they were kind of close behind me, half a second, to a second behind me, wait till the next straight stretch, front or back, and then pull down onto that. Anybody, like, again, if you know Darlington, like, the off-track area is super duper wide. Like, there is it's all, I don't know if it's concrete pavement, whatever. And excuse me on my ignorance on that one. As a NASCAR fan, I should know. But it's all paved. So you can go right down on the apron. The transitions, is bad in the corners, but on the straight stretch you can dive down there, get way out of the way. And then come back on the course. As long as you get back up on the track before you actually hit the corner, it's not that bad. If you try to do it mid-corner, which I kind of did once and shot up the track a little bit and saw a couple other people do that too, then you're okay. So as they were approaching me, about half second to a second, I would slow down, dive down to the inside, let them go by, then get back on the track and go around. As I get more and more comfortable, that gap that I would do that was getting smaller and smaller. And with about 5 laps left of the race, and me with basically one incident or one wall scrape away from getting disqualified, I made a tactical error. And that was, I looked back and saw the leaders behind me. Well, the leader, Jacob Fife, actually just spanked the entire field in that one. He had that track figured out like nobody's business. So I had the leader behind me, and I knew Jacob was pretty patient. He's a great driver when it comes to situational awareness and not putting himself in bad situations. He's pretty good at that. And he'd passed me several times before, obviously. So I knew that he had a comfort level with me. So I looked at it and, here was the backstretch. It's like, okay, he's about 0.7, 0.6, whatever it was, behind me. It's like, no, I can carry enough speed through the next corner, and then I'll let him go by then, rather than losing that time, even though it gained me nothing. Like, it was one of those things where the decision went in my head, but there was no reason why I shouldn't have done it the other way, which is stupidity on my part. Anyway, so I ended up holding that, through the corner, ended up going through the corner a little bit slower than I had hoped. Jacob caught me, passed me, like he dove around to the inside and passed me, and that was fine, but I ended up going through the corner a little bit hot, like I mentioned, and ended up scraping the wall. Now, several things happened at this point in time. I'm thinking in my brain, oh crap, I'm scraping the wall, I'm going to get disqualified if it's too hard, because there seemed to be a really weird line between what was a 2x and what was a 0x scrape. Like, there was ones that I hit really hard and it was 0, and there's ones I thought I barely hit it at all, hello elephants, that I'd get a 2x. So as I'm scraping the wall, I'm going, crap. But then obviously I lost a lot of momentum as I'm trying to get off the wall, or I'm trying to, not get a 2x off the wall. But there was another car behind me, which I think was in sixth place, I think he was. So he was lapped down to the leader. So Jacob managed to get by me while I scraped the wall as Jacob got by me. The other driver was coming up on me with some good speed. So as I mentioned earlier in that race, my rookie tip during the race was the fact that the lead lap cars just need you to be consistent. Don't make any wild movements. Don't change your line. Don't say, oh crap, I'm supposed to be in the bottom to let these guys pass me. There's a guy there. I didn't realize he was there. Let's dive down. Don't do anything erratic. So I'm scraping the wall, and I figured the best thing I can do until this one car gets behind me, because it was completely clear after him, was to continue to scrape the wall. So I turned the wheel to the right and just kept my car pressed up against the wall, which made me bleed off even more speed. It was in that situation, I thought it was the best thing to do. The car behind me didn't adapt to the fact that I was losing speed, or he thought I was maybe going to dive out of the way. Maybe he didn't realize that's what I was doing on purpose. I didn't cue the mic. Maybe I could have communicated during that situation. But anyway, he ended up carrying the speed and ended up nailing right into the back of me. Unfortunate. There was about 5 laps to go at that point in time. That gave me a 4X, and then I was immediately disqualified out of the race. So I spent all that time worrying, figured it out, managed to run the last bunch of the race nice and clean, because I had like more than half my incident points way before halfway through the race, and then get disqualified with about 5 laps to go. Didn't cost me any positions, but I felt pretty crappy because I got disqualified from a race. Like that made me feel like just garbage. And second of all, I had a car who was, obviously having a better race than me, ended up smashing the front end of his car. I don't remember where he finished out, but it was an unfortunate circumstance. So, lesson learned. I should have gone with my first instinct on that, which was, you know what, they're close enough. You have nothing to gain by keeping speed through the corner. Just let them by. Everything would have been fine, especially with how worried I was about being disqualified. So, in any event, 10th place finish. Happy with that part of it. Got disqualified. Not so happy with that part. But I didn't ever cause any cautions or anything, and there's no repercussions for being disqualified in that league. It's just, okay, you're out. Unless, of course, you're getting incident points from causing cautions, and they have a separate penalty system for that. I didn't do any of that. There was no cautions I caused, so, no, I'm not suspended or anything. I think I said at the end of the video, I wonder if I just got myself suspended from the league. I didn't. Everything's fine. Unfortunately, they're off for the next 2 weeks, so I won't have a chance to race there. So I won't have a race for you guys tomorrow night, or at least not a league race. I'm thinking about maybe doing something else, coming up with something else to stream for you guys. Like I said, I've been playing around with the ideas of different things that I can be doing to add to this channel. In case you're just an audio listener, you're not watching on YouTube, it's over at Ratface Productions. That's Ratface with 2 T's. There'll be a link in the show notes and everything. You can go over there. So search me over there. I'm going to be trying to add more and more video content. It's going to be iRacing / video game related. So maybe I'll figure something else to stream for you guys either later on tonight when I'm playing Battlefield, or maybe I'll find a race that I can do tomorrow, just arrive and drive and stream that for you guys. Keep the comments coming. You guys have, again, thank you very much for all of the feedback between Twitter and email and comments on the actual video. I actually have subscribers, which is something I wasn't actually anticipating. I figured it'd be, myself and, Chad. I think Chad's subscribed. I'm not entirely sure, actually. Chad, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. But I am humbled and thankful that you guys actually find... I am every time I step behind the microphone. I'm humbled and thankful that you guys find what I do, what Chad does, to be entertaining, to add something to your video game / iRacing experience, or just something that brightens your day. So as long as you guys keep being entertained by what we do, we're going to keep doing it. So I'm hoping to add more and more to that channel, so I can provide different ways to entertain you guys and give you guys something to watch, listen to, enjoy, kind of thing. So anyway, so won't be any IRL races for a couple weeks on account of there aren't any. So I won't be doing that, but I'll see if I can find something else for you guys. So as we kind of sail off into the end of the show here, and by we I mean myself because, well, I'm by myself. It's just me. It's not creepy or nothing. I just wanted to just a quick rookie tip of the week here, and that is it's also one of those things that I was participating in a couple forum threads over in iRacing as well. And one of the ones I was participating on was talking about people getting burnt out. Do you ever get bored with iRacing? I think it was. And I've mentioned in the past, I think iRacing is cyclical. It's something that you get into, you get out of, you kind of go through highs and lows. And this kind of ties into this rookie tip. And it's just a short little one where just understand as you do iRacing, and people get pretty serious into this, obviously, understand that real life is more important than your sim racing. I know that sounds corny and dumb, but what I kind of mean is, even when it comes to gaming, even in general, and I'm guilty of this as well, because I spend a lot of times, playing video games, because that's my stress relief. That's my hobby, so to speak, between that and podcasting. So it's always important to make sure that you understand that you have to get a balance there. I've mentioned in the past, I'm obviously, a husband, father of two, so finding a balance between them is important to me. But even if you're not, a family man, so to speak, it's something that you have to keep that balance and never feel like you're compelled to race. Make sure that you always put your priorities straight. And that's it. Just kind of sort of something that came about to me. And Chad's not here tonight because he had other things to do. And I know Chad feels bad that he can't be here tonight because he enjoys doing this as much as I do and enjoys entertaining you guys and being part of this, I almost said relationship between us and you guys, and that sounds really, really creepy. But, he's, as much as he doesn't want to miss doing this because of, like I said, he enjoys it and stuff, he had other priorities in the quote-unquote real world. So, he said, is it okay if I miss the show? It's like, of course it's okay you miss the show. That's that. Real life is always more important than anything you're going to do behind a computer screen. I guess unless your job is to sit behind a computer screen and that's how you're raising money for your family, in which case that is more important. General idea is make sure you provide a healthy balance between your hobby of iRacing and everything else that happens outside of the computer screen. So just a quick, I don't know if it's even a rookie tip, but it's just kind of a tip to make sure that you guys keep that in focus. I know that's something that I personally struggle with because, like I said, when I'm in my man cave, this is Trevor time. Be it podcasting, be it racing, be it playing other video games. So that's something I have to always keep at the forefront of my mind. So anyway, enough of that serious talk on the rookie tip of the week here thing. But I am going to bring the show to a close here. Like I said, it's not. I was going to say it's not quite as long as usual, but it actually ended up being as long as usual. So hopefully my random ramblings and ravings were at least somewhat entertaining. Again, I have a basic idea of what I'm going to say, but until I start talking, I'm not entirely sure what's going to come out. But hopefully it's always fun and entertaining for you guys to listen to. But that will about do it for this week, of course. A big thanks to you for all of you for listening, and again providing feedback through interacting with us through Twitter, through email, through the forums, all the ways that you guys communicate with us. We really, really appreciate it and have a lot of fun talking with you guys. That's it's definitely a highlight of my days when I get an email from a fan, especially somebody who just found the service and then found us while looking into the service. Like stuff like that just makes my day. I love that. So thanks again for hanging out with us on this show over this last year and into the future. Remember, the show is available for download on iTunes and Zune under their podcast sections, where we'd really appreciate a review to help us get the word out. You, of course, can listen to the show live or through the archives as well through our new YouTube means of the show. The show is obviously still going to be available, as I mentioned before, on all the old ways that you could get it before. The audio format is completely different than the video, just something else that we added in there. So if you want to watch the video live, we usually record on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, thereabouts. I try to get it as close as I can. So you can watch this live there if you want, or then it's archived about an hour or so later. I don't know what YouTube does, because I can watch it instantly, but for some reason it doesn't show up on my page for like an hour or two after. I don't know, maybe there's an abacus in the back. I don't know how YouTube works. So you can watch it over there, and like I said, that will be under my page of Ratface Productions, Rattface Productions. You could probably figure out how to spell that. Ratface is not exactly standard spelling, if there is such a thing. So you can check that out. You can obviously check out the website for information, archives, links, and the polls that we mentioned on the show at iRacingTodayRadio.com. And if you haven't voted in this month's poll, make sure you head over there and let us know what you think. You can follow show news through Facebook at facebook.com/iRacingTodayRadio and Twitter at twitter.com/iRacingToday for myself, where I give you information on the show and all my usually video game related information. And you can follow Chad over at twitter.com/itschadillac for him. And he's very active on Twitter as well, so you can get usually a couple chuckles out of him during the day as well. You can please, if you want, you can please email any questions, comments, or poll suggestions. I almost said concerns. If you have concerns, I guess you can email those too, that you may have to feedback@iRacingTodayRadio.com. And of course, feel free to add myself and Chad as friends over on the iRacing.com members website, which several of you already have. As a matter of fact, I accepted a friend request today, I think it was. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but I took a quick look at his profile, and he's been with iRacing for just a month. So that's one of those things that I mentioned, just brightens my day. It's like, you know what, somebody has just joined the service either through the show or found the show afterwards, and, you know, like I said, adding hopefully to the iRacing experience, and that I love that. So keep adding us over there as friends on the iRacing.com members website. But until next week, ladies and gentlemen. See, this is weird because Chad usually does some of this, and then I do some of it. And see, you know, I'm doing his parts. It's confusing me, you know. Well, confusing may not be exactly the strongest word or the most appropriate word, but it is a word for sure. So now that I've rambled on senselessly, remember, until next week, ladies and gentlemen, that the race is rarely won in the first turn, but it is often lost there. Good night, everyone.